Welcome to Church History Hub, where the echoes of ancient councils stir the soul today. It is 451 AD, 600 bishops pack a sun-baked amphitheater near the Bosphorus. Two heresies rage like wildfires, threatening the heart of the gospel. Is Jesus God cloaked in fragile flesh, or a divine essence blended beyond recognition? The Council of Chalcedon steps forward to etch the eternal truth in stone. Join me as we uncover this pivotal defense of the God-man. Let us step back to the sweltering summer of 381 in the bustling streets of Constantinople. The Second Ecumenical Council has just wrapped up its deliberations. The Nicene Creed, refined and fortified, rings out anew. The Son is begotten of the Father before all worlds, true God from true God, of one substance with the Father. Arius and his deniers of Christ's full deity lie defeated, their errors scattered like chaff in the wind. The Church, that fragile bride of Christ, exhales in collective relief. Emperors like Theodosius I enforced the creed with imperial edicts, turning pagan temples into basilicas dedicated to the risen Lord. Peace at long last? Oh, how the human heart deceives itself. For beneath the surface calm, deeper fissures were already forming, ready to erupt into flames that would test the very incarnation. The mystery of God with us, as John 1:14 so poetically declares, the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. The Nicene Constantinopolitan Creed, in its elegant brevity, confesses Jesus Christ as born of the Virgin Mary, suffered under Pontius Pilate. These phrases, drawn straight from the Gospels, seem as solid as the rock of Golgotha. Yet simplicity, in the hands of fallen minds, becomes a breeding ground for speculation. What does it truly mean for the eternal Son to take on human flesh? How can infinite divinity coexist with finite frailty? In the decades following Nicaea, three insidious heresies slithered forth, each nibbling at the edges of Christ's person, undermining the atonement that hinges on his perfect union of natures. These were not mere academic squabbles. They struck at the gospel's core. For as the Apostle Paul warns in Galatians 1:8, any alteration to the Christ preached from the beginning invites divine anathema. The first assailant emerged by the early 300s and 70s in the intellectual hothouse of Laodicea, Apollinaris, a presbyter of considerable learning and rhetorical flair. Trained under the shadow of Origen's vast library, Apollinaris gazed upon the incarnation with a philosopher's eye. He fretted that a fully human Christ, complete with a rational soul vulnerable to sin's whisper, might falter under temptation. To safeguard divinity's purity, he proposed a clever substitution. Let the divine logos, that pre-existent word, supplant the human mind altogether. Thus, Christ would don a human body like a garment, animated not by a mortal intellect but by God's own reason. It sounded almost pious, a bulwark against Arian delusion. But peel back the layers, and the error glares. This Christ is a hybrid puppet, not the fully human brother Hebrews 2:17 demands. He had to be made like his brothers in every respect, the author insists, so that he might become a merciful high priest, tempted as we are yet without sin. Without a true human mind to wrestle with doubt in Gethsemane, his obedience loses its sweat-dropping authenticity. No genuine solidarity with our frailty means no substitutionary empathy on the cross. The Cappadocian Fathers, Basil of Caesarea, Gregory of Nazianzus, and Gregory of Nyssa, sniffed out the danger like watchmen on the walls. In their joint epistles and homilies, they thundered against this theft of the soul, condemning Apollinaris at a local synod in 362, and later influencing his formal anathematization at Constantinople in 381. Yet the poison lingered, mutating into later forms, whispering doubts about whether God truly entered the mess of our humanity. Fast forward to 428, when the winds of controversy gust anew in the imperial capital. Nestorius, a monkish ascetic elevated to Patriarch of Constantinople, steps onto the stage with the zeal of a frontier preacher. Fresh from Antioch's exegetical school, where Christ was parsed like a Greek verb into distinct subjects, Nestorius recoils at the popular devotion to Mary as Theotokos, the God-bearer. Blasphemy, he cries from the pulpits of Hagia Sophia. Mary, he insists, is Christotokos at best, Christ-bearer, for she birthed only the human infant, not the timeless divine person. Precision, Nestorius argues, demands separation. Two natures, yes, but loosely allied in a moral union, like allies in battle rather than one indissoluble warrior. The East buzzes with approval from Syrian rigorists, but Cyril, that lion of Alexandria, rises in fury. From his desert-fringed see, Cyril pens 12 anathemas that slice like Coptic knives. If the Word did not unite humanity to himself hypostatically in Mary's womb, then redemption remains a farce, the cross a mere human tragedy. The stakes? Eternal. A divided Christ cannot heal our divided souls. He cannot be the one mediator between God and man, as 1 Timothy 2:5 proclaims. The Council of Ephesus in 431, that sweltering Third Ecumenical Gathering, vindicates Cyril. Nestorius is deposed, exiled to a Libyan oasis, his name synonymous with schism. The Nestorian church endures in Persia, but the pendulum, as pendulums do, swings perilously toward the opposite extreme. And so we arrive at Eutyches, the grizzled archimandrite whose monastery in Constantinople housed 3,000 black-robed zealots. By 440, this octogenarian firebrand, disciple of the more moderate Severus but radical in practice, clutches Cyril's phrases like a talisman, one nature after the union. In his hands, it warps into absorption theology. Christ's humanity, he teaches, vanishes into divinity post-incarnation, like a droplet of ink swallowed by the Aegean. No more two natures cooperating, only a divine supernature remains. Pope Leo I, that towering shepherd of Rome, would later lampoon this in his correspondence as concocting a quaternity, Father, Son, Spirit, and some ethereal mannequin, neither fish nor fowl. Eutyches' error, for all its mystical allure, guts the incarnation scandal. God did not merely appear human, as Gnostics sneered, he became it fully to redeem it fully. Nicaea had armored Christ's deity against Arian theft. Now his humanity teetered on the brink. Enter the fuse, Dioscorus of Alexandria, Cyril's successor, a canon lawyer turned ecclesiastical warlord whose ambition would drench the faith in blood. The year is 448, and Constantinople hums with the clatter of imperial chariots and the murmur of monastic prayers. In a dimly lit consistory hall, Eutyches stands trial before a synod of bishops, his frail frame swathed in coarse wool. The air thickens with incense and accusation. Patriarch Flavian, a steadfast guardian of two-nature orthodoxy, levels the charges. Eutyches' monophysitism, one physis, one nature, dissolves the Lord's manhood into divine mist, robbing the cross of its atoning blood. Emperor Theodosius II, that bookish ruler more at home in his library than on the throne, presides with a diplomat's weariness, desperate for ecclesiastical harmony to mirror his fragile realm. Eutyches, ever the actor, feigns infirmity, his voice quavering as he invokes Cyril's authority. I confess as the fathers did, one incarnate nature of God, the Word. But Flavian, armed with Cyril's unambiguous letters from the Ephesus archives, exposes the slight. Those texts affirm distinction without division. The synod, by majority vote, deposes the old monk, shuttering his monastery gates. Eutyches slinks away, but the embers glow. Dioscorus of Alexandria, that ambitious successor to Cyril, smells opportunity in the smoke. A lawyer by training, schooled in the labyrinthine codes of Justinian's forebears, Dioscorus wields theology like a cudgel. From his Nile-side palace, he dispatches envoys to the court, painting Flavian as a covert Nestorian, a splitter of the undivided Christ. Whispers of conspiracy swirl. Dioscorus, backed by Egypt's teeming monks and grain-shipped influence, promises Theodosius a unified East if only he reconvenes the frayed threads of 431. The emperor, his empire creaking under Hunnic pressures from the north, capitulates. To Ephesus once more, the edict reads, summoning bishops for August 449. 500 souls converge on the Asia Minor port city, its harbors choked with triremes bearing mitred passengers. But Dioscorus arrives not as pilgrim, but conqueror, flanked by 300 Egyptian delegates, a phalanx of loyalty drilled like legionaries. What unfolds in the Church of Mary Theotokos defies the annals of conciliar decency, earning eternal infamy as the Latrocinium, the robber synod. The church historian Evagrius Scholasticus, penning his ecclesiastical history around 590, recounts the barbarity with restrained horror. Dioscorus, enthroned like a usurper, imports Parabolani, those Alexandrian dockside guardians, burly enforcers ostensibly for the poor, but now armed with iron-tipped clubs and brass-knuckled fists. The agenda? Reinstate Eutyches, depose Flavian, and bury Rome's voice. When Flavian rises to defend the faith, citing scriptural precedents from Isaiah's suffering servant fused with John's divine logos, Dioscorus bellows for silence. The Parabolani surge forward, a tide of muscle and menace, shoving bishops aside like chaff. One eyewitness, the Illyrian bishop Eusebius of Dorylaeum, later testifies, "They fell upon us with fists and feet, as if we were gladiators in the arena." Theodoret of Cyrus, that silver-tongued exegete from Syrian Antioch, fares worst. Dioscorus' men seize him by the flowing beard, dragging him through side doors into a guarded vestry where chains clink in the shadows. In a frenzy of manipulated votes, Flavian is stripped of his see, branded Nestorian, and Eutyches hailed as confessor. Worse, the Tome of Leo, a 4,500-word masterpiece dashed off from Rome's Lateran, lies trampled, unread. Leo's prose, rich with patristic depth, weaves Athanasius' deity with Irenaeus' anthropology, insisting on natures united yet distinct. But in Ephesus' chaos it gathers dust. Tidings race westward on galloping relays, striking Rome like a Scythian arrow. Leo the Great, that peerless pastor-theologian, recoils in pastoral fury. "This is no council," he writes to Theodosius, "but a den of thieves, a latrocinium where truth is bartered for blows." Flavian, battered and banished to the bandit-haunted roads of Lydia, collapses from wounds inflicted in the melee, his last breath a martyr's witness to the hypostatic union. The East fractures like brittle papyrus, Constantinople's faithful riot in the forums, decrying Egyptian thuggery, Palestinian monasteries dispatch petitions to the court, even the Persian church, Nestorian-leaning, watches warily. Street brawls pit black-robed monks against one another, cudgels swinging over chants of two natures versus one incarnate. Theodosius, unmoved, ratifies the robbery, but divine sovereignty, as Calvin would later expound in his Institutes, mocks the plots of princes. In July 450, the emperor's horse rears during a hunt, hurling him to stony death. His widow sister Pulcheria, that devout virgin empress, weds the Orthodox general Marcian in a hasty ceremony. Their edict? "The faith bleeds, we summon healing." Couriers fan out bishops of the oikumene to Chalcedon by October's equinox. Bring not swords, but scrolls of truth. The powder keg, primed for decades, awaits its clarifying blaze. Nestled on Chalcedon's hillocks, where the Sea of Marmara kisses the Bosphorus, the ancient city stirs under autumn's golden haze. October 451 dawns crisp, the air laced with salt and expectation. Chosen for its strategic perch, close enough to Constantinople's imperial fist, far from Alexandria's anarchic reach, Chalcedon hosts over 520 bishops, a rainbow of robes from Gaul's woolens to Persia's silks. The Basilica of St. Euphemia, that martyr's shrine with its soaring vaults and mosaic saints, swells like a bellows. Emperor Marcian, a soldier turned sovereign, strides in flanked by cataphracts, his consort Pulcheria at his side, a pair as resolute as Constantine and Helena. "We convene not for empire's glory," Marcian proclaims in his opening address, voice echoing off porphyry columns, "but for the faith once delivered to the saints," as Jude enjoins. "No Dioscorite brigands here, truth alone shall prevail." The assembly, a microcosm of Christendom's diversity, murmurs assent. Illyrians, Palestinians, even a papal delegation from Rome, bearing Leo's sealed missives like apostolic relics. Session 1 unfolds with grim theater. Scribes unroll the acta of the robber synod, those forged protocols read in monotone Greek. Gasps ripple like wind through wheat as the hall absorbs the outrages. Beatings tabulated, votes coerced, Flavian's deposition inked amid howls. Dioscorus, summoned under guard, lounges in a corner alcove, his lawyers smirk unyielding. But when the imperial prefect rises, by the emperor's will, Dioscorus of Alexandria stands suspended for violence against the canons. A roar erupts. Egyptian loyalists bristle, but Marcian's guards, shields glinting, escort the fallen patriarch to a seaside villa under house arrest. He would die in chains 2 years hence, his legacy a cautionary tale of ambition's wages. With the robber exposed, the council turns to reconstruction, sifting witnesses like prospectors for gold. Over days of prayer and disputation illuminated by oil lamps into the night, the bishops reclaim Ephesus's true legacy: Cyril's union without confusion, Athanasius's deity undiminished. All eyes now fix on the Roman legates, Pascasinus of Lilybaeum, Lucentius the priest, and Boniface the deacon, 3 envoys who embody Peter's succession. As Session 2 convenes, Pascasinus ascends the ambo, a cedar platform carved with vine scrolls. The most blessed Pope Leo, head of the Universal Church, he intones, has deigned to instruct this synod through his tome to Flavian. A hush descends, profound as Sinai's thunder. The scroll unfurls, Latin verses rendered fluidly into Greek by bilingual clerics. Leo's words cascade like a Roman aqueduct, clear and inexorable. Therefore the Word, preserving his own properties, took up the nature that was his due. The same one truly the Son of God, and truly the Son of Man. For each form does the works proper to it in communion with the other. That is, the Word performs what belongs to the Word, and the flesh carries out what belongs to the flesh. One of these shines in miracles, the other succumbs to injuries. And then, the crown. Unconfusedly, unchangeably, indivisibly, inseparably. The nave erupts, bishops vaulting benches, omophorians flying, their acclamations a Te Deum in polyphony. This is the faith of the fathers. Peter has spoken through Leo. We all believe thus. Even Dioscorus' wavering Egyptians, hearts pricked by the tome's scriptural fidelity, drawing from Philippians 2's kenosis and Colossians 2's fullness, join the chorus, save a dozen intransigents who slip away to plot schism. Cyril's 12 chapters are reaffirmed, purged of Eutychian gloss, Nestorius' errors anathematized anew. Through 16 grueling sessions, debates fueled by barley water and barley bread, adjourning to Euphemia's crypt for Vespers, the council forges consensus. Jurists parse terms with scalpel sharpness. Exegetes mine the Psalms for incarnation proofs. By November 25th, amid incense veils and choral anthems, the Chalcedonian definition emerges. A 350-word bulwark, terse as a creed, yet profound as the hypostatic union itself. Signed by all but the diehards, it seals the fate of heresies, a lighthouse amid doctrinal storms. Pause with me now as the council's trumpet fades, and let us linger on the definition's beating heart. Recite it slowly, reverently, as if in the nave itself, each phrase a nail in error's coffin. Following the Holy Fathers, we all with one accord teach men to acknowledge one and the same Son, our Lord Jesus Christ, at once complete in Godhead and complete in manhood, truly God and truly man, consisting also of a reasonable soul and body, of one substance with the Father as touching his Godhead, and at the same time of one substance with us as touching his manhood, like us in all respects apart from sin, as regards his Godhead, begotten of the Father before the ages, and in these latter days the same for us and for our salvation, born into the world of the Virgin Mary, the Mother of God. For one and the same Christ, Son, Lord, only begotten, is acknowledged in two natures, unconfusedly, unchangeably, indivisibly, inseparably. The distinction of natures being in no way annulled by the union, but rather the peculiar property of each nature being preserved and being united in one person in hypostasis, not as parted or separated into two persons, but one and the same Son and only begotten, God the Word, our Lord Jesus Christ. Breathe that in, the economy of words belying oceans of depth. At its core, 4 adverbs stand sentinel, forged in the fires of debate to firewall ancient pitfalls. Unconfusedly, no Nestorian schism, where persons drift like unmoored ships. The divine and human interpenetrate in vital communion. Unchangeably, no Eutychian dissolution, humanity not morphed into divinity like wax and flame, but each nature's essence, homoousios with Father in us, eternally intact. Indivisibly, the single hypostasis, that concrete person of the Son, brooks no partition, tear the natures, and you rend the Savior. Inseparably, post-union, divinity never vacations from flesh. The Word's every step in Galilee pulses with eternal power. These are no arbitrary flourishes. As J.N.D. Kelly elucidates in his early Christian doctrines, they echo the fourfold gospel harmony: Matthew's royal deity, Mark's suffering servant, Luke's incarnate healer, John's pre-existent logos, woven into doctrinal steel. Why, you ask, does this 5th century parchment matter to the 21st century pilgrim trudging through a world of TikTok theologies and TED Talk saviors? Because the gospel's engine stalls without it. Consider the atonement that reformed jewel substitution demands: a Christ fully man to bear our curse, Galatians 3:13, fully God to exhaust divine wrath, Romans 3:25. A mere man dies a martyr's death, heroic but insufficient for infinite sin. A solitary God suffers illusions untouched by nails pierce. Only the hypostatic union, as Calvin hammers in his 1536 Institutes, Book 2, Chapter 13, enables the God-man to be our elder brother who has gone before us, while wielding the keys of heaven's treasury. Heidelberg's question 18 bows here. Who is this mediator? Answer, the true eternal God-man, per Chalcedon. Even Westminster, wary of conciliar pomp, enshrines the two natures in its confession. Chapter 8, a quiet nod to providence's preservation. Yet shadows lengthen in our age. New Age mystics hawk Christ consciousness. Jesus as enlightened guru, an avatar of universal vibe, echoing Apollinaris' mind swap. Silicon Valley prophets muse if algorithms can incarnate souls, flirting with Docetism's ghost. Did God really sweat or just simulate? Chalcedon thunders back. Yes, he hungered in Nazareth, wept at Lazarus' tomb, as man to embrace our exile, yet calmed storms and forgave sins as God to bridge abyss. In hospital vigils or boardroom doubts, this Christ sympathizes without sin. Hebrews 4:15, saves without limit. Hebrews 7:25. He is the anchor for weary evangelicals adrift in cultural fog, reminding us the incarnation is no myth, but the pivot of history, where eternity kissed time. As October's chill settles over Chalcedon in 451, the basilica empties, bishops dispersing like seed on apostolic winds. The definition, inscribed on vellum and bronze, hurtles along Cursus Publicus relays to Antioch's forums, Rome's basilicas, even Edessa's scriptoria. Joy mingles with sorrow. The Oriental Orthodox, Coptic lions of the desert, Syrian guardians of Aramaic hymns, Armenian Highlanders repudiate the Council's Diophysite language, clinging to Cyril's one nature of the incarnate word. Schism scars the body, a wound East and West nurse to this day, yet the truth abides, unyielding as the empty tomb. The eternal Son in sovereign grace humbled himself not to illusion but reality, flesh of our flesh, yet glory undimmed. He who was crucified in weakness rose in power, the God-man forever. Believer, this Jesus strides your shadowed valleys and sunlit peaks. He who baffled bishops with his dual splendor invites you. Take my yoke, for I am gentle and lowly in heart. Matthew 11:29. Recite the Creed's incarnation clause with Chalcedonian fire. Let it fuel prayer, preaching, perseverance. In an era of diluted Christ, guard this mystery as Paul bids Timothy. Fight the good fight of faith. 1 Timothy 6:12. For those hungering for more, glance to the description below. There, you'll find thoughtful links to essential reads. J.N.D. Kelly's Early Christian Doctrines for the doctrinal deep dive, Philip Schaff's Nicene and Post-Nicene Fathers Volume 14 with Leo's Tome in full, and W.H.C. Friends, The Rise of the Monophysite Movement Tracing the Split's Human Drama. All available on Amazon. These volumes, companions on the historiographical road, invite you to trace orthodoxy's threads with your own hand. If today's journey fortified your confession of the hypostatic union, tap that like button. In the comments, share. What modern notion does Chalcedon dismantle in your life? Subscribe, ring the bell, and journey with us next as Chalcedon's ripples touch iconoclastic fires, Islamic dawns, and Reformation thunder. Until then, cling to the God-man who holds all things. Grace and peace from Church History Hub, where yesterday's truths ignite tomorrow's faith.